12 continued. 7. The part in the whole. It is repugnant to the divine nature to suffer any sort of deterioration or ever to permit the execution of any purely personal act in an inferior way. It should be made clear, however, that if in the divinity of any situation, in the extremity of any circumstance, in any case, whereas of the course of the supreme wisdom might indicate the demands of the different conduct, as it is demands of the perfection for any reason to dictate any other method of reaction, a better one, then and there would in all the wise God function and be better, in a more suitable way, than would be the expression of a higher law, not in the reversal of a lower law. God is not a habit-bound slave to the concrosity of the repetition of his own voluntary acts. Therefore, it is no conflict among the laws of the infinite. There are the perfections of the infallible nature, and there are all the unquestioned acts of the expressive and faultless decisions. Laws, the unchanging reaction of an infinite, perfect, and divine mind. The acts of God are all volatile, and notwithstanding this apparent sameness, in God there is no variableness, neither shadow of changing, but all that which is can truly be said of the Universal Father cannot be said of equally certainty of all of his subordinate intelligences and all of his evolutionary creatures. Because God is changeless, therefore, and yet ever-changing, therefore you can depend on an ordinary circumstances of his doings and undoings, and creations and uncreations, the same thing in the identical and the ordinary way. God is the assurance of stability for all created things. He is God, therefore he changes not. He is love, and all love that you perceive is not God. And all of this steadiness of conduct and uniformity of action is personal in consciousness and high volatile, for the great God is not a helpless slave to his consciousness, but rather to the perfection of his own infinity. It is not a self-acting automatic force. It is not a slave law-bound power. It is neither nor an equation nor a chemical formula. He is a free will and primeval personality. He is the Universal Father as being surcharged with personality and the universal font of all creature personality. The will of God does not uniformly prevail in the heart of the God-seeking material world, but in the space, time, and frame it is enlarged beyond the moment to embrace the whole of the first life. Then God does become willingly and increasingly discernible, and the fruits of the Spirit are born in the lives of the Spirit-fed children and Spirit-led children. And then, if the human is further enlarged to include the URANTIA experience of the divine will is observed through the shiner and brighter in the spiritualizing acts of those creatures of time who have begun to taste the divine delights of experiencing a relationship of the personality of the human, with the personality of the Universal Father together. The Universal Father, of God and the brotherhood of man present the paradox of a part and the whole of the level of personality. God loves each individual as an individual child in the heavenly family, yet God thus therefore loves every individual. He is no respecter of persons, and his universality of his love brings every being into a relationship with him of the whole and the universal brotherhood. The love of the Father absolutely individualizes each personality as a unique child of the universal Father. Each child, without duplicate in infinity, will creature irreplaceable in all eternity. The Father loves and glorifies each child of God, illuminating each member of the celestial family, sharply silhouetting the unique nature of each personal being against the impersonal levels of outside the fraternal circuit of the Father, of the eye of all, and the love that he is strikingly and beautiful, and portrays the transcendent value of each will creature, unmistakably reveals the high value of the will of the universal Father has placed upon each and every one of his children, from the highest creator personality of paradise status to the lowest personality of the will of dignity among the savage tribes of men in the dawn of the human species in some evolutionary worlds of space and time. This love of God is for the individuals that brings them into their own being and their divine family of all individuals, the universal brotherhood of the free will of the children of the Paradise Father, and this brotherhood being universal in a relationship of the whole brotherhood, when universal discloses each relationships and all of its relationships, brotherhood and a personality, and the total, and therefore discloses qualities of the whole and contradicts distinction to qualify of the part. Brotherhood constitutes the fact of the relationship between every personality and come as a result of the relationships to other persons, and the parts and the profits of suffers in the measure with the whole. The good effort of each man benefits all men. The error or evil of each man augments the tribulation of all men, and moves the part, so moves the whole. As the progress of the whole, so the progress of the part. The relative velocities of the part and the whole determine whether the part is retarded by the inertia of the whole or is carried forward by the momentum of the cosmic brotherhood.